All right, good evening, everyone. Today is November 10th, and this is a public hearing for the comprehensive plan. Um, Before we get started, let's just do a little housekeeping. If you have a cell phone on, please go ahead and put that on mute or on vibrate. If you need to take a call, please step out into the hallway as the acoustics in here can be problematic sometimes. If you need to use the restroom, the men's restroom is straight out this double doors. You're going to go straight, and on the right, there's going to be a main staircase. You can use the restroom. That's the men's restroom. For the women, you can go outside of the double doors. On the right-hand side, there's going to be a women's restroom. There are also two exits in here, the double doors and the door in the back that says exit. You can use the main staircase to get down to the ground level, or you can come out and go to the right. There's a staircase that'll take you down to the ground level as well. Before we get into the call of the meeting, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll have Councilman Derek Thompson do it. Thank you, everyone. All right, City Clerk, can we have the call of the meeting?
Yes. All right, City Council public hearing followed by the City Council committee meeting. Here in City Hall, City Council Chambers, City of Mount Vernon Comprehensive Plan, also known as Envision Mount Vernon, followed by the City Council committee meeting. This was published in the Journal News on October 30th, 2025. It was also noticed in the Rotunda, on our city website, and blasted on our social medias.
Thank you very much, Clerk. Can we go ahead and have a roll call, please?
Yes. Councilman Boxill,
Present.
Councilwoman Gleason,
Here.
Councilman Potteet,
Here.
Councilman Thompson,
Here.
Council President Brown.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, I see that we have the commissioner online. Commissioner, would you like to say anything before we get started with the public hearing?
Certainly. Thank you, Council President. We're happy to be at this third public hearing for Mount Vernon's first comprehensive plan, which we hope to be successful since 1968. During the first two public hearings, we heard a lot of comments. Many of them were based on misconstrued information from how parts of the original draft was written. And we heard a lot of concerns, particularly in four areas, and we worked with our consultant team to address that. First and foremost was that we addressed the issue regarding concerns about elimination of single-family zoning districts. As stated during other public hearings, that is not the case. The City of Mount Vernon, through the comprehensive plan, will not be eliminating single-family zoning districts. What we have done is we have added language both in the introduction and implementation chapters. Pages 1-4 and item number 3.3.2 address this, as well as make edits in the placemaking chapter, which was the point of greatest concern. Language regarding duplexes, triplexes, and townhouses have all been moved to the medium density chapter, and we have clarified that low density will mean low density and allow complete single-family zoning districts, while those other uses will be in what was called low to medium density districts that will be analyzed when we redo the zoning ordinance. The second item is in regards to accessory dwelling units. We had accessory dwelling units in there as something to look at because it is a concern, and there are many illegal accessory dwelling units, and something we had wanted the zoning ordinance to address formally. but we have taken language regarding accessory dwelling units out of the comp plan, except for one reference that says we will look and analyze but the efficacy of accessory dwelling units. The third is in regard to parking. We provide clarity on parking. There was concern that the parking ratios meant for transit-oriented districts, particularly in phase one, also known as the Downtown Vision Report, would be applied to the whole city. We clarified that will not be the case. Those reduced parking ratios are focused on transit-oriented districts, and we anticipate that primarily 90-something% of the city, the parking ratio will be maintained as is. Finally, there were concerns about open space and proliferation of open space. We addressed that, and just other concerns that were brought up at the comprehensive plan already addressed, primarily around infrastructure throughout the chapters. And we met with a contingent of respected stakeholders to discuss some other items. We incorporated some of those comments as we felt salient. And so what we have posted online is an updated version of the comprehensive plan with a red line summary to show where the changes were made, and an introductory narrative explaining what we had done since the last public hearing.
All right, Commissioner, give me 1 second. Do we have comments around? Who? So Commissioner, there was some difficulty in hearing you. Would you be able to give us?
Is this better? I just changed my microphone.
Yeah, can you change your microphone and see if that adjusts a little bit, please?
I just changed it. Does this work or not really? Hold on. Testing.
Is that better? Okay, yeah, you can start, if you don't mind giving us just a brief synopsis of what you said. There was some difficulty in-house hearing you.
Sure, no problem. If I'm clear, I'll continue. So during the first two public hearings, we had heard a number of concerns. There were you can't, not working?
You can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay, sorry.
So actually, Commissioner, there's still some difficulty in-house, but the mayor said she's going to address some of the same things that you're going to talk about. So let's give the mayor opportunity to come up and speak and see if you want to add anything to her comments. Is that okay? It looks like he nodded. Thank you. Can you make sure the mic is on, Madam Mayor?
There we go. Is that better? Okay, Sean Patterson Howard, Mayor of the City of Mount Vernon, but also clearly a resident, a homeowner, and a taxpayer. So I'm going to speak what I have, and if there are things that I can fill in that the commissioner is speaking, I will try and do that as well. So Mount Vernon's new comprehensive plan, Envision Mount Vernon, represents the culmination of almost 3 years of community engagement, professional planning research, and collaboration. The plan identifies 36 strategic goals and 391 objectives that reflect what residents and stakeholders believe the city should prioritize over the next decade. It sets a clear roadmap for how Mount Vernon can grow stronger, more equitable, and more prosperous as a city. Some of the community engagement included 30+ community engagement meetings, 4 public workshops. Over 1,500 residents participated in these community engagements and public workshops. We did 4 citywide surveys. We trained 30 young people in planning and engagement techniques, and they went out and did door-to-door work. They spoke to other young people, and they collected data. We did workshops in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. We had engagement with 6 active neighborhood and tenant associations. And then more than 500 residents also participated and engaged in this process through tabling at public events, including National Night Out for 2 years, City Fest for 2 years, Pumpkin Fest, Hispanic Heritage Month, events that were happening at Levister Towers, door knocking, and encouraging others to come out. Phase 1 of the Envision Mount Vernon plan focused on the downtown, about 50 square blocks. And Phase 1, we issued a request for proposals in August of 2022. The consultants were selected in November of 2022. Phase 1 outreach took place from January of 23 to August of 2024. We had community conversations at the Dole Center in January of 2023, 5 community conversations between February of 23 and June of 23, a public workshop in April of 23, a second public workshop in June of 23. And I just want to say for the record that all of these activities happen on the north side, the south side, the east side, and the west side, engaging all of the neighborhoods of the city. We had our first phase public hearings for November 2023 and December 2023. Hearing 1 was November 15th, 2023. Hearing 2, November 21st, 2023. Hearing 3, December 6th, 2023. And the Phase 1 Downtown Vision Report was adopted by the council in January of 2024. Phase 2, community conversations, took place between November 2023 and summer of 2025. Neighborhood association and community engagement happened from April 2024 to June 2024. 7 segments and stakeholder community conversations happened between August 2024 and July of 2025. We had youth conversations with young people, youth canvassing around the city, senior conversations, Spanish language conversations, citywide community conversations at the STEAM Academy and at Benjamin Turner Middle School. We met with the industrial businesses, and that conversation was at the Guidance Center of Westchester. And we had a workshop at the Dole Center, and then we had a second virtual public workshop in July of 2025. The comprehensive draft plan was presented to the council in September of 2025. We also had the draft, before it was presented as a final draft to the council, there were presentations that also happened in the community. The first hearing for the draft comprehensive, Phase 2 of the Envision report, which is Phase 2 of the comprehensive plan, was done on October 8th, 2025. Another happening on October 14th, 2025. We received many public comments, including from myself, our elected officials, our businesses, and our residents throughout the city. All of those were taken into consideration, and we released a revised Phase 2 Envision Mount Vernon report. The city of Mount Vernon also sent out to all who spoke at the hearings and different ones who engaged and shared their concerns, update to Mount Vernon's comprehensive plan, a community vision driven for the future. And we responded to community feedback and presented a redlined update to the report that spoke to single-family zone houses. And we stated that response to single-family zoning is not being eliminated. The revised plan preserves the integrity of single-family neighborhoods by maintaining existing densities and patterns. Revised placemaking chapter 4 has updated low density, and duplexes, triplexes, and townhouses are now under medium density and not low density. 2, parking. There was lots of concerns around parking and parking shortages across neighborhoods, especially near multiple family dwellings in downtown. And our response was updated parking requirements based on geography while maintaining traditional parking ratios through the balance of the city. And I'll get back to that. Accessory dwelling units. Residents feared that accessory dwelling units would intensify density, worsen parking congestions, and alter neighborhood character, and called for clearer regulation. Our response was accessory dwelling units language emphasized that this housing form may not be appropriate for every neighborhood and therefore is not being advanced as an applicable housing strategy. I think that my view as mayor on ADUs has been very consistent from the very beginning. As I served on the WMOA Executive Board, when we sent a letter to the governor expressing our concern around ADUs and what was being asked of communities. Open space and parks, there was broad agreement that Mount Vernon lacks sufficient open space and recreational areas, particularly in particularly in dense neighborhoods, and response is reevaluate neighborhood open spaces to ensure that areas of shade and cooling and fresh air are available. And we were asked to continue the public hearing at that time after the second public hearing, which was done. And again, the revised comprehensive, the revised Envision Mount Vernon Phase 2 report was updated, put online with redlining to make it very easy for residents to go in and see what was being adjusted. So that's some of it. I want to say that there have been other concerns that have come forward from residents. And I think some issues, unfortunately, are being conflated. So what we do know is that let me stop for a second. So the city has done its due diligence in completing the full environmental assessment form, the EAF Part 3 and supplement EAF. The council, based on what you see in the EAF, you can always choose to move forward with what is called a negative declaration. And that would mean that after careful review, the adoption of the comp plan will not result in the potential for any significant adverse environmental impacts. Let me be very clear. A negative declaration is common and lawful under SECRA, where there is no new zoning being adopted, right? And a comprehensive plan does not adopt zoning. I'm going to say that again. A comprehensive plan does not adopt new zoning, nor are any developments, projects being proposed in the comprehensive plan. Future zoning and future development projects will undergo their own SECRA review. Mount Vernon chose to go through this process one step at a time during the Phase 1 and Phase 2, getting the comprehensive plan done, and then moving to adopt zoning ordinances because of financial considerations. For 57 years, let's be clear, from the year of my birth, as I'm 57, we have not engaged in completing a comprehensive plan and rezoning. And Westchester County said in their response to our comprehensive plan that Mount Vernon as a city has the oldest comprehensive plan that has not been updated in its time period, and that they really, really congratulated us in doing this. And so, future zoning and future development projects will undergo their own SECRA review, which is what is required. Mount Vernon again chose to take it one step at a time. First, the downtown vision report, now the second part of the non-downtown report, the comp plan, which, by the way, incorporates and builds off of the downtown report, and new zoning in the future out of consideration, again, for our budget. Municipalities throughout the county adopt negative declarations in these circumstances where they're doing just the comprehensive plan and are not doing the full rezoning or the rezoning at that time. The town of Greenburgh is one example, as well as White Plains, Cortland, Hastings, East Fishkill, and other recent examples. So again, if you're just adopting a comprehensive plan, you have to do the EAF, which Mount Vernon has done, but you are not required to do a full SECRA. This is what we're supposed to do in this circumstance. For those who think SECRA means that an environmental impact statement must be prepared in order for a comp plan to comply with SECRA, that is factually and procedurally incorrect. Again, for those who think SECRA means that an environmental impact statement must be prepared in order for a comp plan to comply with SECRA, that is incorrect. We have complied with the provisions under SECRA, and that is doing the environmental assessment form. Again, there is no new zoning or land development being included in the comprehensive plan. I'm looking forward to seeing the comprehensive plan approved so that we can move on to updating our zoning and ensuring that our city will continue to grow responsibly while preserving the character of our communities. Commissioner, I don't know if there's anything that I left out of my comments that you might want to add to.
No, I think you pretty much covered it. Can folks hear me?
Yes, I can.
You pretty much covered it. What I had said, for those who didn't hear me, was what, as the mayor said, the four primary areas that we had addressed in the red line summary were single-family zoning, ADUs, parking, and open space. And so you can go through that. And for folks concerned about the single-family zoning, you can look in on page -14 and in the implementation chapter 3.3-2, as well as the placemaking chapter, which raised the greatest concern, where we moved any language regarding duplexes, triplexes, and townhouses to medium density.
Additionally, I just want to, as I referenced them in my comments, on October 27th, we received from the planning board their comments saying that the planning board recommends adoption of the comprehensive plan. It said that the comprehensive plan should not rezone areas currently zoned as single family to higher intensity zoning. We addressed that. It said they should include a recommendation for creation of an infrastructure fund to ensure city's infrastructure is maintained and upgraded as the city sees more future development. We are working on that, and the IDA is doing that as well. It talks about making sure that we're planning with municipalities around us in respect to infrastructure. It talked about a discussion of healthcare and how Mount Vernon can attract more health-related and medical offices in its future. Mount Vernon Hospital has a $45 million investment. We are expanding our emergency room from 10 beds to 30 beds. That project is underway as we speak. We are adding where we're renovating and creating 6 operating rooms which have not been used that will be state of the art, and they have begun to open the beds. And Mount Vernon Hospital went from, I believe, about negative $24 million a year to right now being in the black. And hopefully by the end of the year, we will find out what's happening with that. And offices are being opened as the hospital is being revitalized. And it should also talk about discussion concerning necessary improvements to road and other transportation infrastructure that is not directly controlled by the city. I can say in the past 7 years, all 6 of the Metro North bridges that were closed off and on for the last 37 years are all reopened, and we are addressing other bridges, and we've received some funding for that. The County of Westchester, and I will make this very brief, said in their letter on October 21st, 2025, that together with the Downtown Vision Report constituting Phase 1 and now Phase 2 of the new comprehensive plan, that that is proposed to replace our 1968 master plan, which is the oldest municipal comprehensive plan still in use in Westchester County, and that they really, really applaud us on this effort. They talked about the ambitious and wide-ranging document. They said, "We applaud the city's efforts to update its comprehensive plan and appreciate the city's presentation to the County Planning Board at their meeting on October 7th, 2025. And they offered comments in several areas. They talked about it is consistent with county planning board policies. There are areas that we are not as aggressive as the other parts of the county, especially in ADUs. We have not looked at that. Well, that's not something that we're interested in. They talked about our public outreach. They talked about streets and public transportation. They are encouraging us to roll back some of the requirements around parking, which I believe that we are taking our own approach, as we know that we are more dense than other communities in the county. And so we are taking a responsible approach. But overall, they really commended the comprehensive plan, what we're looking to do, and they are in support of it. So thank you so very much for your time. I know that this is a document and this is a process that is led by the council, that is legislative, but our administration has tried to be supportive at every turn in making sure the information that we could provide and needed to provide to the council is there, and working also with the consultants. And again, we look forward to this comprehensive plan being adopted so that we can move to the next phase, which is rezoning and adopting a zoning ordinance, which will have to undergo much more extensive environmental assessments. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. All right, so we're going to move into the public hearing comments. Actually, let's do, clerk, do you have a summary of the written comments that you would like to read into the record?
Yes, I do. Thank you. This is a summary based on the written comments received in the clerk's office from the last in-person public hearing. The public comments submitted regarding Mount Vernon's revised comprehensive plan, or Envision Mount Vernon, reflect widespread opposition and concern among residents. Most respondents argue that the plan promotes overdevelopment in one of New York's most densely populated cities, threatening neighborhood character and overwhelming an already failing infrastructure. Residents object to proposals that are weakening single-family zoning, increasing density through new floor area ratios, and adding more subsidized housing that could erode the city's tax base and overwhelm public services, which are already under strain. Highlighted is the city's inability to manage itself financially, and many existing problems such as tree maintenance, crumbling roads, broken sewers, inadequate customer service, a declining downtown with vacant storefronts, and decreased sales tax revenues, all of which should be addressed before pursuing large-scale redevelopment. Several commenters demanded that the City Council conduct a generic environmental impact statement, or GEIS, citing environmental, economic, and procedural deficiencies that are in the current draft. Others stressed the need for transparency, a greater public participation, requesting that hearings remain open, and that community workshops be held across the city. They state that residents and community organizations have not been adequately notified of the context or implications of the draft, nor have they been afforded sufficient opportunity to review. Collectively, the submissions call for a pause or full revision of the plan until it is grounded in realistic infrastructure capacity, sound governance, and genuine community consensus. Others questions the city's rush to adopt a plan filled with ambiguous, vague language, factual errors, and little to no attention to fiscal or environmental impacts. A self-identified longtime planner commended the efforts and understand while this plan is intended to be a guide, the inclusion of FARs, maximum building heights, and parking ratios are out of place, as there is no mention of an analysis of the city's existing zoning code. In summary, residents thanked everyone involved with the draft comprehensive plan. They state they are not rejecting progress, but are demanding responsible progress. a plan rooted in reality, guided by transparency, and built on the trust of the people it represents. All written comments are available for public view. They are attached to this public hearing and all accessible on our website on Granicus.
Okay, thank you very much, Clerk. So we're going to move into the public comment. Just so everyone knows, there is a 5-minute speaking limit. So what that means is when your 5 minutes expire, your speaking time has expired. I know we're going to run into someone wanting to wrap up. I have a 15-second clock up here, so the wrap up will be expected to be completed in that 15-second clock. No one is entitled to additional time. Everyone is going to have the same amount of time tonight. If you cannot wrap up your comment within the additional 15 seconds that I'm going to keep track of up here, then you can submit your comments in writing to the city clerk or the deputy clerk. They will come up to get it from you all, and it can be submitted into the comments so that the public can read it. When you come up, please note that you should state your name and your address for the record. Also want to note that when someone else is speaking, please no commenting from the audience. We can hear everything in here, so keep your comments to nothing, right? When the folks who are taking advantage of their time. If you need to have a conversation, please step outside of the council chambers to do so. All right, council members, am I missing anything else? All right, so I'm not going to go through the speakers for or against. In general, I'll ask speakers who'd like to speak about the comp plan to come up. You don't have to stand in line. You don't have to be called on. You can just walk up and form a line if you want. So speakers who would like to speak about the comprehensive plan or the Envision Mount Vernon plan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Vince Ferrandino, 45 Parkway West, Mount Vernon, New York. I'm a professional city planner, a former Mount Vernon Planning Commissioner, and a city resident. I'd like to start out my comments by correcting our mayor, who I understand just returned from Brazil. Welcome home. It is not 391 objectives. It's 418 objectives. I suggest.
Mr. Ferrandino, please speak into the mic so that we can have you on the record, please.
Secondly, since our mayor made reference to GEIS's secret documentation, the city of White Plains, the town of Greenberg, etc., using those as examples of communities that did not necessarily prepare a generic environmental impact statement. Well, I prepared the town of Greenberg comprehensive plan. And the reason there was not a GEIS is that in that particular plan, there was detailed analysis of everything that was recommended. Detailed analysis of traffic, detailed analysis of parking, detailed analysis of fiscal concerns, et cetera, et cetera. The fact that that information was contained in the plan obviated the need for a GEIS. Having said that, we still prepared a very lengthy environmental assessment report, which again documented all what was being proposed. So I just want to correct the record as we start out. Given the 5-minute mandate, and by the way, thank you, Madam Chair, for making it 5 minutes instead of 4 minutes, my comments tonight will be brief. Excuse me, limiting them to 2 questions, which I would like answered before I sit down. Number 1, when was the public hearing reopened by official resolution of this city council and due notice provided? Can anyone answer that? Yes, no, maybe? Okay, let me go on. Perhaps you can answer it when everyone is finished speaking, so you can tell us how and why this is a legally constituted public hearing. Number 2, where is the required amended long form EAF parts 1 and 2 that was to be posted online in advance of this hearing so that people could review it and comment upon it? Can anyone answer that? I corresponded with the city clerk on Friday and asked that very question. No response. I've been in communication with the planning department as late as 5:15 tonight as to where the long form EAF and parts 1 and 2 are. No response. Sorry. In order for this to be a legally constituted hearing and for the public to opine on the amended draft comprehensive plan, the hearing must be legally scheduled with proper notice and the long-form EAF made available in sufficient time for people to comment. The reason the long-form EAF is so important is that that is the basis for determining, you as the lead agency, City Council, the basis for determining whether or not a generic environmental impact statement is necessary. So in the absence of that long-form EAF and the fact that this is not a legally constituted hearing, I think we should all get up and go home. Because again, we can speak this evening and you can hear the comments, and I'm sure the comments are going to be very cogent, but this is an illegal public hearing, and without the long-form EAF, we're wasting our time. So absent that, the hearing should be adjourned until such time as both items are in compliance and a legally constituted public hearing scheduled and posted at that time. I will reserve submission of comments on the draft plan until such time as that occurs. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional speakers who would like to speak? Are there any additional speakers who would like to speak about the comp plan?
Good evening, everyone. Michael Justino, 47 Clinton Street. I'm here as president of Fleetwood Neighborhood Association, citizen, taxpayer, chair of the ZBA, and a member of the Comp Plan Advisory Committee. So I have some items. The statement submitted expresses significant concerns regarding the revised comprehensive plan and its associated procedures. Several substantive and procedural issues still require attention and correction prior to consideration of plan adoption. Number one, SECRA classification and GIS requirements. Primarily the EAF Part 1 and 2 that are online are incomplete. Part 1 is 2 or 3 pages filled out. The remaining pages unfiled or unanswered and not signed. And the Part 2 has no impact on every item in that document without consideration for what is actually in this comprehensive plan suggestion. So that issue was raised and explained even further by Vince, and it was raised previously and really has not been addressed. Number two, deficiencies in a long-form environmental assessment form. Again, I spoke to that earlier and it was been left blank. And again, it was brought up by many people and a concern to really determine whether there was a significant impact in the environment. And so, again, it was raised previously and not addressed. And when I say addressed, it's just not that there has to be an agreement, but there needs to be at least those forms completed. Number three, zoning completion prior to adoption. Zoning revisions must be completed and synchronized. I understand that the possibility remains to do them at a later date, but because the language in the proposed plan right now is so vague and hard to understand, it really creates a lot of confusion and inconsistencies between what the policy might be and and the regulatory intent was. Number four, single-family zoning concerns. This was one of the few concerns addressed in the revision. However, significant problems remain. The floor area variance, or FAR, of 0.5 to 1 in the low-density single-family zones would dramatically alter neighborhood character, substantially increase density, and likely cause a severe decline in property values. The document contains pervasive language, excuse me, promoting increased density across all zoning categories, which is inconsistent with the presentation of established single-family neighborhoods. 5, high-rise density between Gramerton Avenue and Westchester Avenue. Again, that was addressed previously as a concern that the density recommended in the plan was too great for those short blocks between Gramerton and Westchester, but there has not been any comments as to why or any changes to that recommendation. 6, lack of retail plan for the Fleetwood Business District. Not only was there nothing to help the retail and economic development within that area, there was nothing relative to the other retail areas in the city, like Mount Vernon Avenue, 3rd Street, 4th Avenue, Gramerton Avenue South. Again, an item that was raised by many in the first 2 public hearings, and there was no response to that particular concern. Number 7, insufficient use of the advisory committee. Again, I mentioned this at the last meeting, that the advisory committee was involved much more heavily on the first phase. Many of the recommendations that the advisory committee gave at that time were not subscribed to, and the second phase of this plan, the advisory committee had minimal involvement. There was a meeting that just spoke about the new team. There was one other meeting where there was a vague overview of what was coming out, but really, and unfortunately, there were not very many people participating on the advisory committee to really give any feedback. So, and number 8, the public hearings and public hearing and review process. It is imperative that the public hearing remain open until all new and previous public comments have been thoroughly reviewed by both the planning department and the consulting team. The planning department and city council must
Justino, please
respond-
wrap up your comment.
Yes, I heard you. And respond to all concerns voiced by the public on 10/8, 10/14, and today 11/10. So in conclusion, I think the long form EAF parts 1 and 2 need to be fully.
Thank you, Mr.
and to be
Justino.
completed. Thank you. I will leave my comments behind.
Good evening, members of the council, members of this audience. I'm William Sheehan. I live at 331 Claremont Avenue. I'm a 45-year resident of Mount Vernon, a taxpayer, and am a registered architect in the state of New York. Regarding housing, the comprehensive plan is deeply flawed, not merely in its details, but in its whole approach. A big thrust of the plan is to build additional residential units. Mount Vernon is one of the most densely populated cities in the United States. Mount Vernon has certainly achieved racial diversity. Mount Vernon does not need more residents, particularly since residential properties generally cost cities more in services than they generate in increased tax revenues. The city already has problems paying its bills. It does not need more expenses.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, please, you're interrupting his
There are
time.
deep concerns regarding the comprehensive plan's proposed zoning changes, particularly relating to density and infrastructure. Just as single-family zoning districts are the jewels of Mount Vernon and need to be preserved, likewise, two-family districts should not be subjected to increased population density. The comprehensive plan proposes eliminate components of city's zoning that may be considered exclusionary. The term exclusionary is in the eye of the beholder, and any zoning code is essentially a list of thousands of implied exclusions. A big item that some people might choose to consider exclusionary is single-family zoning. The plan's mandate to eliminate so-called exclusionary zoning components is too broad brush, too open to misinterpretation, and needs to be removed. The comprehensive plan itself says that Mount Vernon's zoning is not inherently exclusionary. Floor area ratio and building height must not be increased. For example, the suggested floor area ratios of up to 1.0 or 1.5 in low-density residential zones undermines the suburban character of our neighborhoods. The plan offers no direction on setbacks, risking changing our community into a dense urban landscape with homes built virtually wall-to-wall with microscopic or no backyards. The plan's emphasis on increasing residential density ignores the pressing infrastructure and business development challenges that we face. Our roads, water systems, and emergency services are already strained. Critical issues raised at the last meeting evidently remain unaddressed. Among them are a clear capital infrastructure plan, an analysis comparing payment in lieu of taxes versus full tax development scenarios, a parking standards table by zone supported by data, a complete generic environmental impact statement, and clarification of the secret procedures for all proposed zoning amendments. I urge the council to delay any decisions until these issues are fully addressed and the public has had sufficient time to review all materials. Our community deserves thoughtful planning, responsible governments, and genuine public engagement. Thank you.
So before the next speaker goes, just want to note that if you clap during their time, they lose out on time. So I would encourage everyone to hold their applause until after they speak. Continue.
Anybody can do whatever they want. If they want to applaud, they can. If they don't, don't. My name's Gabriel Thompson, and I live in this here city. And yeah, this incomprehensible failure called a comprehensive plan that evidently thinks because we are a municipal corporation that is a city, that we are the same as New York City or Boston or LA, in the sense that we have a commuter train. So 0.6 parking spaces per unit in our, transit-oriented zones. We don't have a subway. We have a commuter train, which means, sure, for the elites here that think everybody commutes to work, that might suffice. But what about when you're not commuting to your job on that train? Supposedly, that costs $10 to get to the city each way. Well, when you're not commuting on the train, how do you get to the grocery store? How do you go to your kid's soccer game, right? How do you go to a PTA conference? There's no subway here. You got to drive. It's 15 minutes at least anywhere. They all know that. I ride a bike. I don't see any of you all on a bike because you're hypocrites. You let developers come in here that, first of all, they fund your campaign for judge. They fund your campaign for council. All of these developers, you're like cats, right? Stray cats. Whoever feeds you, you take it. You let them come in here and use con job words like transit-oriented development. You let them use words like affordable. Well, who affords those apartments? You know who affords it is the tax-paying residents, the property owners, which many of you aren't, or pay almost nothing. That's who affords it. So you hand out tax incentives, top-up cards, pay as you go. Oh, well, nickel and dime. I pay full tuition in a school district. I have no kids in it. My entire neighborhood doesn't even use the school district and pays the highest taxes in the city. But developers get to come in and they use the word affordable, and liberals are, they think that's a good word for people in urban environments who are struggling to pay rent where a lot of demand is. And so you take the campaign contributions, line your pockets with them, and then you sell this BS to your residents. Well, some of us, we're not that stupid. So then you come in here and you say, the notice for this hearing says the draft comprehensive plan itself does not propose or authorize any new zoning amendments or land development. Here's New York State law. Effective adoption of the city comprehensive plan. All city land use regulations must be in accordance with a comprehensive plan. So clearly, we have a city council who writes and passes multiple laws that are against state law because they can't figure out what's their purview and what's not. And then they have to kind of backtrack and then go to the state and get the legislature to approve it because we have a law department that's a joke. We have a council that doesn't do any research. And so you come in here and you just lie to our faces. You've already used the aspirational BS downtown vision report to permit spot zonings of Library Square and other donor-funded BS, with like 80 parking spaces and 350 units. Oh my God. everybody who lives here knows you already can't park anywhere. In fact, Danielle, at one of these phase 2 hearings, said she doesn't even spend her money here. Goes to Pelham. And they were asking where you spend $1,000 hypothetically. So I guess you don't care if you screw this place. So here it says, so this is generally what I think this place is. It's the same lawyers that advise this council, the same ones working with these developers. The consultants that are used by the planning department, which they can take their 6-figure salaries, they can't even show up. They're the same ones paid for by developers. It's a revolving door. It's just a corrupt circle of money and influence. It doesn't just at the federal level with Trump and his cronies. It's right here. It's all of you. It's embarrassing, really. It's sickening, actually. It really is. So you push this developer-driven BS, right? You look at like the overlay that New Rochelle did. They do a 300-page generic environmental assessment form, goes over sales tax revenues, traffic, infrastructure, effects on education and schooling. But nobody here knows what a professional work product looks like. And I know that because I see the work product you produce, and it's unprofessional garbage. So I suggest, I don't know, finding a new line of work. Thanks.
That's going to be hard to follow. I'm going to keep it simple because I've only lived here for about 2 years, so I have not been pissed off enough yet to get to where some of these commenters are coming. But I do appreciate you guys paying attention and looking at me, and I appreciate that. You see a lot of clips where people get mad at their city council and they're just checking their phone. So appreciate you giving me the time. I want to make a comment that I hope that the state DOT and the MTA were involved as stakeholders in this process because of their right-of-way interests are going to conflate with whatever was going on with the city. And if you don't have their buy-in from the get-go, you're not going to get their buy-in later. Specifically with the MTA, they have a vegetation management plan that says they are going to notify the city, neighbors, concerned groups about tree removal, where they're supposed to trim. And I live over on Claremont Place, over between Claremont and Columbus Avenue, Route 22. And they have clear cut all of the trees along the right of way. I called about this in the summer. I tried calling you guys. I tried calling the MTA. Got nothing. Came back in the fall, cut down even more. All the shade over a park with basketball courts, gone. All the shade that cools my house down, keeps the noise of the train, mitigates the pollution that comes off the train. So have you called them about that? Have you contacted them about that? There's a whole page about tree cover. I went to college. I'm not an urban planner. I'm a transportation planner. But when I was in school, it was for environmental planning. You can look at heat maps of where trees are in urban areas where they cut them down. I noticed they didn't cut them like that over in Pelham and Scarsdale. So maybe you should address the MTA. Why are you treating our city like shit? Because that's the truth. There's clear cutting, doing whatever they want. No strings attached. They got a contractor from New Jersey doing whatever the hell they want. Sorry for the language. So first of all, get the MTA in check with what they're doing to our neighborhoods, because you can't get those trees back. Some of them are over 100 years old. And then secondly, with terms of the state DOT, the misalignment of Claremont Place and I think it's Beechwood right across the street. I hope that could be looked at, because there's a laundromat, a bodega, a kids kung fu studio. There's a pizza shop across the other side. The park's on the other side, and it's pretty dangerous. There's no crosswalks. There's no striping across the street. You could potentially get a pedestrian bollard in the middle, something like that. The church that's there and the bodega and laundromat that has the parking creates a problem that it's not their fault, but there's definitely pedestrian stuff that hopefully can get looked at. And hopefully you get the state on board, get MTA on board, and get some of these people that have issues solved through the planning process. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm David Reich, lifelong resident of Mount Vernon. I live at 112 Ridgeway Street in Mount Vernon. I'm here to oppose adoption of the comprehensive plan for Mount Vernon, even with the so-called revisions. And I have to wonder out loud if it even makes sense to come here tonight to voice my opinions and my suggestions, because despite strong opposition by many to the original plan, the mayor and the planning department seem to have ignored, and somebody did a count on this, something like 95% of what concerned citizens have called out. So we object to this plan, not for political reasons, but because we care about this little city that we all live in and love. Specifically, I'll start close to home, which for me is Fleetwood. I feel, and many of my neighbors agree, that it's a bad mistake to change the zoning on the blocks between Grambling and Westchester, between Cedar up to the Cross County. I know, Mayor, you said that the zoning in the plan, it's not changed or something like that, but we don't want to be fighting every time some development is proposed that is not within the zoning that's been there all this time, which is low-rise apartments and single-family on those blocks. If you look at those blocks, it's all single-family homes. It's adjacent to some older 4 and 5 and maybe 6-story older apartment buildings, but it all fits into that neighborhood. They're all set quite a bit back from the streets. High rises, which I think would be allowed with the altered zoning on those couple of blocks, would destroy the historic character of the neighborhood. It would add to congestion, make parking even more difficult than it already is, and discourage people from coming into the area to shop and dine. So please do not change zoning in that area. I'm also concerned about the density of residential developments that will be allowed in other parts of town. 16 to 21-story residential buildings just, I don't think, have any place in Mount Vernon because it'll just further overwhelm the city's infrastructure. And any multi-unit residential development must have a provision for adequate on-site parking, certainly more than the unrealistic 0.6 spaces per unit. And none of these developments should be financed by pilot giveaways to any developers. Use pilot money instead to attract businesses, industry, to provide jobs and tax revenue, but not to add more housing to an already very densely populated city. Although the plan generally calls for strengthening our tax base with job-creating commercial development, I don't see any realistic specifics in terms of how this will be accomplished. In this tough economy, especially for retail, it means nothing to say we simply want to attract fine dining or movie theaters. It's nice to say it, but I don't really see any plan as to how that gets done. So I think let's get real. Let's say how this will spell out how this will be done. And I have major concerns with a major flaw in this plan, which is lack of any environmental documentation or technical studies. I know you said that there's, I think it's not mandated, but whether it's mandated or not, it just makes common sense. If we're going to have a plan in place, let's see before we put the plan in place how this impacts our community in terms of traffic, congestion, all the things that an impact study would solve. So let's slow this process down. Let's take all the proper steps so that the plan gets approved, so that the plan that does get approved is truly a step forward for the future and not more of the same unchecked and haphazard development, and that it truly is reflective of what people in Mount Vernon want. As it stands now, this plan is not that. I ask the council to vote no on this proposal as it now stands. Keep the public hearing process open for additional comments. Listen to what your citizens, your voters, your taxpayers are asking and telling you, and instead of going through the window dressing that's been happening these last several weeks. So please vote no if you're voting tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Eileen Justino. I live.
Justino, can you adjust the mic so that, thank you.
Okay. Is that better? Eileen Justino, I live at 47 Clinton Street. The Mount Vernon Draft Comprehensive Plan continues to lack clarity on fiscal sustainability, infrastructure readiness, parking policy, business retention, and required environmental reviews. While the updated comprehensive draft plan has attempted to placate some residents by redefining some of the zoning in single-family zones, and even this is somewhat ambiguous, the comprehensive plan still has not addressed numerous questions that I and others posed at the last hearing. Regarding fiscal stress and pilots, Mount Vernon continues to rely on high taxes and tax anticipation notes to meet basic obligations, underscoring fiscal instability. The plan promotes high-density development, often tied to pilot agreements, which reduce long-term tax revenue. There are several residential projects in the pipeline that will require combined rezoning and potential pilots. There is no published fiscal impact analysis addressing the proposed rezoning, nor any comparing pilots versus full tax scenarios. Infrastructure, sewage, and flooding. The plan acknowledges infrastructure challenges, but does not include a capital improvement schedule or funding strategy for long-term upgrades. Without a clear infrastructure roadmap, new high-density development risks compounding existing problems. The parking policy, the plan's language, and this is in quotes, updating parking requirements based upon geography while maintaining existing parking is ambiguous. Other than the 0.6 parking spaces per unit in downtown, no detailed parking standards by zone or justification metrics have been put forth. Business attraction and retention. Despite widespread storefront vacancies on Mount Vernon Avenue, East 3rd Street, 4th Avenue, all the way through to Gramerton, the plan lacks a defined strategy for business recruitment, retention, or corridor revitalization. And many people have been mentioning the environmental review requirements. According to the official New York State website, a generic environmental impact statement is appropriate when a plan defines a broad program of future actions, as this plan does. Accordingly, the comprehensive plan is a type 1 action. Mount Vernon has not yet published a GIS despite proposing wide-ranging zoning and land use changes. Additionally, there are no technical studies or environmental analysis in the body of the plan. According to New York State, a comprehensive plan cannot be adopted without a GEIS statement if zoning and land use changes are part of the plan. So what needs to be done? A fiscal impact analysis for the proposed zoning comparing pilot versus full tax development, giving the likelihood of these scenarios, a capital infrastructure plan with funding sources and timelines, a parking standards table by zoning with supporting data, a completed GEIS and clarification of SECRA procedures for all zoning amendments. In conclusion, this plan cannot move forward without fiscal transparency, infrastructure investment, and environmental compliance. The Mount Vernon community demands that the plan include fiscal, parking, and infrastructure analysis, and complete the GEIS and SECRA reviews before adoption. Proceeding without these steps risks legal noncompliance and undermines the public trust. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Pamela Boyd. I'm at 2 Harding Parkway. Do you want me to wait, Nicole? Mount Vernon is at a breaking point. And yet, astonishingly, this administration insists on pushing forward a so-called comprehensive plan that defies logic, neglects reality, and compounds the very injustices it claims to remedy. A plan that claims to champion diversity and density in a city that is already among the most densely populated and demographically diverse communities in the state is not visionary. It's a fallacy. It's a hollow exercise in buzzwords designed to check boxes while ignoring the lived conditions of residents. Diversity here is not a goal to be achieved. It's our foundation. And density isn't an aspiration. In a lot of ways, it's our crisis. The only thing the city needs more of is competence, infrastructure, and accountability. If the council truly cared about environmental justice, it would begin by confronting the pattern of neglect and exploitation that Mount Vernon has endured for decades. The ongoing pillaging of this community is the very definition of environmental and economic injustice. Things that would never be allowed in Bronxville, Pelham, or Scarsdale are normalized here. Contaminated lots left open, construction without oversight, water and sewer systems on the brink of collapse. That's not progress, it's abandonment. No comprehensive plan can be called comprehensive without a generic environmental impact statement. And given the fragility of our infrastructure with collapsing roads, you've heard all this tonight, failing drainage systems, raw sewage outflows, and an aging water system held together by patches, an environmental review isn't optional. It's the bare minimum safeguard this community deserves. Over just the last few years, Mount Vernon's decline has accelerated. While neighboring Westchester communities see sales tax revenues rising or falling, businesses are leaving, property values stagnate, and residents are losing faith in city governance. At the same time, the city controller is driving us deeper into debt, issuing tax anticipation notes simply to pay basic bills. A city that cannot manage its finances, cannot issue building permits within a year, and cannot produce a budget on time has no business undertaking a redevelopment scheme of this magnitude. Worse, this administration's own actions show a shocking lack of seriousness. I see the planning commissioners online, but during what is arguably the most consequential policy push in Mount Vernon's modern history, he should be here. The draft plan itself is riddled with factual and typographical errors, and according to the mayor herself, one of its central features, the elimination of single-family zoning, was never intended. Yet it's there in black and white because no one competent enough reviewed it. So I ask in all sincerity, how can an administration that cannot manage its own internal functions possibly manage a generational redevelopment plan? This plan isn't comprehensive, it's careless, premature, and dangerous. To move it forward without a full environmental review would not just be irresponsible, it would be an act of contempt toward the very residents this council claims to represent. The city deserves better. We deserve care, we deserve competence, and we deserve a city government that values its people over rank politics and actual sustainability over slogans. At the very least, we deserve a comprehensive environmental review before another decision is made that this city can't afford, either financially or morally. Thanks.
My name is Stefan Enriquez. I live at 117 Esplanade, and I am here tonight to ask you not to make any decision on this plan until you have done a fiscal analysis of the impacts of increasing the city population and increasing its infrastructure demands. You're not only the lead agency, you are fiscal stewards of the city, you're the appropriators of the budget. So you have a compelling interest in being responsible in this decision. And I note that the revised plan includes no comments with specificity regarding the budgetary impacts of the plan. Thank you.
Darren Morton, City Comptroller, resident of Mount Vernon, 112 Sycamore Avenue. I come tonight, two, as the Comptroller of the city, but also as a resident, to say to this council that one of the elements of this comprehensive plan that needs to have further investigation is absolutely the fiscal impact. As you know, several weeks ago, we asked for you all to approve for us to begin the development of a multi-year financial plan. And on the cusp of adopting a comprehensive plan, one of the things in which we absolutely need to make sure that we weave into our multi-year financial plan is the effects of any new comprehensive plan that will change the economics of the city. The reality is that the city is in financial distress. It has been for several decades, or on its way anyway. And most recent, we find that as we look at all of the audits that have been done for the years from 2016 to 20. And so as we look at this comprehensive plan, and I have reviewed it, but I need to go back and review it in even more detail, it absolutely has some fiscal impact, right? First of all, there was a quote around how much it would cost to actually do anything related to the zoning. So that one is one fiscal impact that automatically and immediately, in the immediate term, will also impact what is being done even with the 2026 budget. But beyond that, as we also find that as we look at IDA and what IDA has been doing in having a consultant to really look at the migration, school enrollment migration, and the effects of these pilots on the city, and how do we then adjust the UTEP in order to make sure that we have the right fit for when we actually do pilots. All of this, to me, also comes into what needs to be considered at the times in which we finally adopt a comprehensive plan. And so therefore, I do ask that we at least make sure that we have slowed the process enough for us to be able to, one, potentially talk with our even financial advisors about what the impact of the comprehensive plan will be. Of course, we do know and we do realize, and I recognize as well, that we do need to adopt the comprehensive plan. Well, we need to adopt a comprehensive plan that is actually going to actually drive in business into the city. And we need to make sure also that we are not disturbing the character of neighborhoods that are absolutely in the city. And so that's my contribution tonight to it. Of course, I'm in support of us having a comprehensive plan. I just need to make sure that at least from the standpoint of being the city's comptroller and what we're dealing with now, that we also make sure that the fiscal impact and a fiscal plan that ties into our multi-year financial plan, as well as our capital projects plan, that it actually is interwoven, that it's in agreement with where we want to go and what we want to achieve as a city. Thank you.
So if folks who would like to speak after Ms. Kingsley, if you can come closer to the mic as she's speaking, that'll be helpful.
Her light is lit red. It's okay. Hi, Mary Kingsley, 99 Beekman. Sure. Mary Kingsley, 99 Beekman. Thank you all for being here and listening. And I just want to say, you know, it's my observation that our communications really have a critical component, and that the style in which an argument is presented often influences how it's received. While clever wordplay and strong emotional language might capture attention, they don't automatically equate to substance or lasting impact. True meaning and influence stem from the clarity, logic, and factual basis of the message itself, rather than the decorative or dramatic language used to deliver it. It's important to build consensus with respect and collaboration, not edict, demand, or insult. That said, I want to go over to my ongoing complaint with this comprehensive plan. I'm also on the advisory committee, just for clarity. It remains the parking. As a Realtor, it's like the first thing people ask me. Do I have parking? Where can I park? And I've read the studies that the consultants use to arrive at their numbers. But I have a couple of excerpts from the plan. And one in particular, as shown in Table 2-23, off-street parking requirements in the MX1 district are significantly lower than the standard requirements applicable citywide. In addition, the requirements for off-street residential parking are lower where the residential use is within 0.7 miles of the Metro North train station. We have 3 of them. If you take that on all 4 sides, that's 1.4 by 1. I mean, it's almost the whole city that we're going to override what we would consider the lower parking or the higher parking requirements because they are within. So I think that 0.7 needs to go way down, or maybe just be in the TOD, because what's going to happen is people are going to know that they can park on my street and walk to Mount Vernon East, and we won't be able to park at our houses. And it's free, there's no meter, there's nothing. So to that end, and I've said it before, I think we should have permit parking for permanent residents on the city streets, and people who are transient should only have a limited amount of parking, not a full day's work day, because these folks are occupying our residential neighborhoods. When we look at Table 2.23, in the MX1, it says 0.75 to 1.33 spaces per dwelling unit. And then they say that the TOD is only these particular areas. But when you look at where the TOD is and add in the MX1, that really becomes a substantial amount of geographic space. Then we have Table 2-30, minimum off-street parking spaces in downtown areas. And they talk about comparing Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, Yonkers, and Mount Kisco. As somebody that travels to all those places all the time, the only place that really has good parking in the commercial area is New Rochelle. They have multiple spaces, lots where people who buy there can buy city permits and park their cars within walking distance of their co-op or condo. And then lastly, I'd like to take you to the next page, which says Table 2.31 shows the fee in lieu of parking amounts charged in Mount Vernon compared to New Rochelle, Yonkers, and Mount Kisco. As shown in the table, the fee that Mount Vernon requires is significantly less than the other municipalities, while Mount Vernon requires a payment between $1,000 and $9,000 in lieu of each required commercial parking space. Other municipalities require between $10,000 and $30,000 in lieu of each space. So if you're going to let people reduce their parking requirement, we can make some money there. And I think that would go a long way to satisfying all of us. So parking, I know I'm like on a one-note thing, but I also want to say, people are complaining about taxes. Taxes stink everywhere we go. I've been paying property taxes all my life and didn't have kids. That's how we fund education, free education here.
Please wrap up your comments, Ms. Kingswood. All right, do we have any additional speakers in-house who would like to speak about this plan? Please work your way up so that we don't have the delay in transitioning.
Hello, good evening. My name is Roxanne Williams. I live in the Fleetwood section of Mount Vernon. I came a little late, so I'm a little bit behind with everything, but I just want to put my input about the city. I feel the city of Mount Vernon should be looked upon through a fine-tooth comb because there's a lot that needs to be fixed within the city itself. Also, I agree with the young lady in regards to parking.
Please, no
You're
comment while the
welcome.
speakers are speaking.
I just, my house where I live in the buildings, we have on Locust Street between Grand Street and Broad, there's a dispensary there. Okay? Listen, everybody likes to get high, do whatever they want to do, but unfortunately, it's very bad for the traffic. It should have never been brought there. Number one, you can't park on Locust Street when you want to run into the dry cleaners or go for a train. It's always blocked. I hear the bus, I'm trying to watch television, I hear the bus beeping and honking. I get high just sitting in my living room watching television. No matter how many times I go downstairs and I tell them to get lost. I'm going to get killed one day, but I'm going to stick up because I pay very high maintenance where I live and everything else. Also, the Fleetwood section is becoming a ghost town. Nobody could afford the rents. Now they want to change the zoning. They want to put more apartment buildings, these high tower apartment buildings. It's not going to happen. Why can't you just leave the one family, single family homes or the whatever we have there? Like I said, we need businesses, we need restaurants. We can't worry about little things that are going on. Other cities like New Rochelle and Yonkers are way ahead of us. I have a business in New Rochelle, and they put a building next to my establishment, and I think it's horrible. Yes, it's a building there, and the people do park underneath, but my customers who come to dine can't even find parking spaces, that they go blocks away to walk, or I have valet paying for that, and they pay valet to come to my restaurant. It's terrible here. Even Mount Vernon, come on, you got to do something. You have 4th Avenue, the businesses, they're junk shops. You got to bring revenue in here. You need stuff. We need more senior housing. I heard now that Nichols School, whatever they changed the name to, is closing because of, it's deteriorating. What are they going to put there? A building? No. If they're smart, you'd put a senior housing there. So at least people have it. They could have the paratransit. They could have something going on there for these people. Mount Vernon is so far behind on times. We're not New York City. We're a small little city, 4.5 square miles. Let's keep it up and running. Enough with the digging in each other's pockets, paying off these developers, and we're not getting nothing. The residents are paying high taxes, and we're not getting anything for our money. That's all I have to say.
All right. I don't see any more in the house. Do we have any speakers online?
Excuse me, Council President, members of the council. My name is Michael Templeton. I'm a 30-year resident of Mount Vernon in the Hunts Woods neighborhood. Several of the points or main points I was going to make today have already been spoken to. They are the need for an environmental impact review of this plan before any vote is taken regarding approval of the plan. Number 2, fiscal analysis, the drill down fiscal analysis of the impact of this plan before any vote is taken is clearly essential. It's foundational. Both the environmental review and the fiscal impact analysis are foundational before any vote should be taken vis-a-vis adoption of this revised plan. There are some discrete specific points I wanted to speak to briefly, several of which impact the Hunts Woods neighborhood and my surrounding residents. But one point is more sort of global, and that is with respect to the treatment of single-family residential districts. And I appreciate that the revised plan has addressed a number of problems with the prior draft as to how it addressed single-family residential districts in terms of putting in so-called LD1 or low-density districts, duplexes and triplexes and ADUs. Those, as I read, the revised plan have been removed and are no longer part of the low-density LD1 characterization or district as set forth in the revised plan. However, the revised plan still keeps the same substantially increased floor area ratio, FAR, that existed in the prior draft. That floor area ratio increase goes from what is now and has been historically in place for single-family residential zones, 0.35 ratio, goes up to 0.5, a 50% increase, or to 1.0, more than 100% increase, doubling it. In my view, and I think the view of similar residents in these single-family residential zones, that is, by definition, a great increase in density. And it's directly contrary to the statement put out by the planning department just recently on the in their email, in response to the comments about single-family zones. The response, I'm just quoting from the statement: single-family zoning is not eliminated. The revised plan preserves the integrity, note that word integrity, of single-family neighborhoods by maintaining existing densities. But this does not do that. This increases the density in terms of the FAR by, as I said, 50% to more than doubling it. So for a 7,000 square foot area lot, you go from 0.35 area to basically 7,000 square foot area for the floor, co-equal with the breadth of the lot. That is increased density. I want to speak briefly about the Bronxville Field Club. There are two things in this revised draft that really are not grounded in reality, are disconnected with real life on the ground, and that is calling the Bronxville Field Club a notable feature of Hunts Woods. That is offensive. They are a non-conforming use, have been a non-conforming use for over 75 years. The Court of Appeals, the highest court in the state, says non-conforming uses should be eliminated. They don't say they should be recognized as notable features. The Bronxville Field Club is very selective in their membership: high dues, high initiation fees. 90% of their membership don't even live in Mount Vernon. They don't recognize Mount Vernon in their address. You can scour their website, stem to stern, Mount Vernon is never addressed, never mentioned. They don't serve Hunts Woods. They're not Hunts Woods centric. Hunts Woods residents can't have access to Mount Vernon. To the Field Club. The Field Club, may pay taxes, but that's all they do. They don't serve Hunts Woods. So that should be stricken from this plan, as should any designation. This is a landmark. It's not a landmark. It has no benefit historically or culturally to Hunts Woods. It's not the equivalent.
Please wrap up your comments.
It's not the equivalent of Hunts Woods Park, which should be a landmark and is recognized as such in this plan. The BFC is not. It does not meet. It's nowhere near. It's a false equivalence to say it's like Hunts Woods Park. Thank you.
Thomas Keller, 12 Pasadena Place, 10552, a neighbor of Ed Petit. I want to congratulate all the people that spoke against this plan. Ms. Boyd, Ms. Kingsley, the Justinos, David Reich, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Ferrandino. I mentioned Ms. Boyd. Maybe you didn't hear me. What did I leave out? The two from Claremont, this gentleman here. I'm glad we got some more community activists. We need it. In terms of surrounding large cities, according to the 2020 census, Mount Vernon's about 75,000. Yonkers is 211. almost 3 times. New Rochelle, about 80,000. White Plains, 58 or 60. Yonkers has 18 and a half square miles, 4.5 times what we have. New Rochelle and White Plains are in the 10 to 12 range. We're 4.2. We don't want to be Manhattan. Maybe in the comprehensive plan, we should have in bold black type, no change to single-family zoning, period. No duplexes, triplexes, multifamily, or whatever. I want to congratulate Eileen Justino on pointing out light industrial and commercial development on the south side. We need more of that. We don't need more housing. I've lived here since 1980. You people have lived here probably longer, shorter, whatever. But you've been around the city and you see all these apartment buildings right next to single-family houses. That street that's comparable, parallel to the Cross County Parkway where you get on there. There's an apartment building right on the corner. I come down Prospect, come up the hill from 22. Huge apartment buildings across the street and next to it are single-family houses. We can't do anything about that. That was done a long time ago by different people. But we shouldn't continue this. And how about the flooding, the water table having been increased? We need more housing. We don't need more housing. We need more for-profit, light industrial, commercial development, especially on the south side. Let's see. All right, I talked about the other cities. Let me get my glasses on here. If I can read my own writing. I guess that's it. Please don't vote on this until these other things are done that have been so adequately mentioned by previous speakers. We had 15 or 16 a month ago. What do we got? 7, 8, 9, or 10 this time around. But they've done a very good job tonight. I hope you're going to listen to them. I'm not going to comment on the TANs and budget. We're going to have budget hearings coming up. There'll be adequate time to do that. But it's very disappointing when we can't balance the budget. We're off by 4 or 5%. Thank you.
Do we have any speakers online? If you're online, speak about the plan, please come off of mute or raise your hand. All right, I'm not hearing anyone, so I'll go 3 times. Are there any speakers online or in city council chambers who would like to speak about this plan?
Hi, Terry and Lee, 18 Darling Avenue. Can you guys
Go
hear
ahead.
me? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Good night. Good night. So since this incomprehensible plan has been proposed, I've been actually going through Mount Vernon and see the south side is right. They need development. They need a comprehensive plan should have business plans in it. There's no business plan. They're just checking up people like it's a tenement. We're running a tenement. We're not running a tenement. We're running homes and suburban feel-like properties. That being said, there's a lot of vacant lots over by on the south side section that could be developed into business, restaurants, and shops, and stuff like that. Why don't we look into that? Sanford is dead. There's no businesses on Sanford. There's 4th Avenue. There's a chunk of 4th Avenue after you pass the shopping district, the next block over. That's empty. Empty lots, empty vacant properties. Why don't the city look into investing with finding investors that need to invest in things like that? That would make a good comprehensive plan. Bringing businesses in. redeveloping the shopping districts from Gamerton Avenue all the way over 3rd and 4th Avenue. That would make a good comprehensive plan, not chucking houses up like a tenement. That's not gonna work for our city. That being said, I do want to also address that how the MTA cut down all those trees on by the train line over by Route 22. That also is ridiculous. Like there's no shade right there anymore, and it looks it looks abandoned now. I don't know what it looks like, but it does not look good. So can somebody get in touch with the MTA that never goes anybody's way and find out why they cut the tree and what's their plan to replant something there so it doesn't look like just overhead train line, sorry. And that was all I had to say. But yes, look into developing these vacant lots on the south side, bringing investors in and see what they can do instead of chucking houses on top of houses, and so we can look like a tenement, not a tenement system. This is not dirty Bronx or rat infested Manhattan. Let's not do that. That's not going to work for us. Thank you. Thank you for hearing me.
Right. Are there additional speakers in-house or online who would like to speak about the plan? All right. Are there any additional speakers? You can come off of mute if you're speaking online. I don't hear them. You can come on up.
Yeah, briefly, I just want to put a cap on this. I've been listening.
Name
to
and
this-
address, please.
I'm sorry, Marcel Lundberg. I live at 110 Elmsmere, Chester Hill, Chester Heights, whatever that is. We've clearly heard a lot of very technical and accurate, professional, deep information about why this is completely not ready to go. We heard from the comptroller, a lot of planning experts, people that have done the research, a lot of bright people. If there's any possible consideration of this moving ahead in this format, I think there's something gravely amiss in that. I mean, that's lack of professional. That is work that really needs completion, and desperate people at back here who are stakeholders who demand that that be done, because a wealth of information will come from doing that work, and that work has not been done. It is not ready to go. Likewise, my issue primarily is single family rezoning. And again, it's been stated the South Side needs a lot of help. And any monies that should be put down towards downtown and redeveloping attractions to money that'll be spent here in Mount Vernon. Not putting duplexes up in neighborhoods that'll just go to Pelham or Bronxville or something like that. That northern area it's like a park. These are like social and economic ecosystems. They are fragile in that if you put a foreign entity in those neighborhoods, they collapse. That's factual. So they are also supported by homeowner investment. They look great. They're great to walk through. They're great attraction to mid and lower level investors who want to just duplex up a lot that they can get because of the investment of the homeowners in those regions. So, thank you. So the idea that anyone would wholesale try to slip in the gamesmanship with the language in the FAR and the 1.0, and that idea that you can take a lot and build all the way is completely against what makes those neighborhoods livable. So the idea here is that any of this single family rezoning should, I think, and I'm going to say it boldly, be off the table, period. All right, that's it. Thank you very much.
Are there any additional speakers in-house or online who would like to speak about the plan? Are there any additional speakers in-house or online who would like to speak about the plan? And the final call, are there any speakers in-house or online who would like to speak about the plan?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
I'm just trying to get this thing on. There you go. Hey, how's it going? It's former Mayor Rich Thomas. Just want to say,
I'm having a hard time hearing you. Could you adjust either the microphone that you're using or the distance from the microphone?
this technology is not all that smart. Tell me if that's better. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Richard Thomas, 77 Douglas Place, Mount Vernon, New York. Just want to say thanks to the community for coming out and voicing opposition to the plan. I honestly think that this draft comprehensive plan makes the government shutdown look good. When you really think about the amount of equity that has been built across the town, not just on the north side, but on the south side, and you think about the taking of people's ability to enjoy what they've earned, even though there's not much left from what has been taken already, and the lack of services that have really dominated the delivery of City Hall so far. I can just say that I'm very hopeful that this body does not make a determination or take a vote tonight on this plan. My recommendation is that the next city council come in and take a harder look and address the questions that were raised, because it would be outrageous and really position the city for more litigation that is unnecessary when you think about all the comments that were made. And as you all move on, or not all, but some of you move on to your next roles, it would be important that you position the next group of leadership to have the ability to make an informed decision and help really position the city for success. This plan does not do that, and I look forward to looking to see if you hopefully listen to the community that has not only come out tonight, but for those on the south side as well that do not and have not been part of this process, particularly tonight, and looking forward to seeing this just held for right now to address all the various concerns that have been raised. And that's it. And congratulations on your victory to becoming the judge, Council President Brown.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any additional speakers in-house or online who would like to speak about the plan? If you're online and want to speak, you don't have to wait until the third call. You can just come off of mute. Are there any speakers in-house or online who would like to speak about this current plan? And finally, are there any speakers in-house or online who would like to speak about this current plan? All right, sounds like there is no one additional. So I want to thank everyone for their participation and feedback tonight. We've heard you. We listened to all your comments and read all the emails and letters that came in. I think passion shown by the community during this entire process is appreciated by all council members and the planning staff and the mayor's office. And I think the comprehensive plan is a better document because of all of the feedback. Council members, do you have any initial thoughts, comments that you want to say? Everybody's good? Councilman Boxell?
Nothing in particular, just ditto what you said. I think the plan is a better document because of the input. And this is a long time coming. And I wish there was more input in the preliminary stages before we got here. But Nevertheless, we're here and we're still working. So I don't think there's necessarily a deadline. We just need a finished document and a correct document. So thank you all for coming out. That's it.
You said, Councilman Thompson?
Thank you so much. I think these conversations are necessary for our community because it's our community as a collective is how we get the job done in any capacity. And going forward, as we continue to have these conversations, it's important that we have different people's input on what should happen within our communities. However, with that being said, it's also necessary that we respect one another while we speak. It is important to have an adult conversation because only adults vote and only adults make these kinds of decisions. So it's necessary to be respectful towards one another, us towards you and you towards us, because when we call people incompetent because we disagree, it's a disservice to how we want our community to look. And how we treat one another reflects on what our community should look like. So going forward, I hope that we continue to have positive conversations and continue to do the very best that we can by our community. Because as I always state, none of us are perfect, but we sure are productive. And we do the very best that we can by our community because not only do we make decisions here, we have to also live here. So what affects you also affects us. So I don't want anyone to think that any decisions that go on in and throughout our community only affects you. It affects everyone as a collective. So let's continue to work together. Let's continue to respect one another, and let's continue to get the job done. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. So right now, we're going to consider a motion to close the public hearing and potentially leave written comments open till Monday at 5 p.m. Does that work for the council?
It sure does.
yes,
I would like,
sure right there? Yes.
I would like to make a motion to.
Hold on, before you start. Sorry, Councilman. We're all on board with that, right?
Can we just get some clarity on what that means as far as any revisions?
So what that means is that we'll continue to read all the comments that come in until that point, and then we can work with the consultants to consider any final edits to the comp plan. And then from there, we would post the final draft sometimes towards the end of next week, if all edits can be made. I anticipate it. And then I anticipate posting the draft secret documents as well at that point, as along with any draft resolutions. Thank you.
Yeah, so, yeah, on that. So when the revisions are made, do we come back here? Are there going to be any more comments? Is there going to be opportunity to vet the final revisions or maybe not necessarily final, but the new revisions?
So now, once the final draft is done, it'll be posted, and then the council will vote on it at a later meeting. Sir, there's no commenting from the public. So, Mr. Thompson, if you can continue to speak, I will have you removed by auxiliary. Thank you. Any additional comments, thoughts from council members?
No, I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you.
So are you comfortable moving forward with the closing of the meeting, keeping the comments open, or no?
I would like the opportunity to, after the revisions are made, to have further comments.
Okay. What is the thoughts from the council members, the other council members?
This is our third public hearing. I think we made good progress with the last public hearing in terms of hearing can you hear me now? So I want to first, again, thank everyone for coming. You, as I often say, you could be anywhere. So thank you for joining us here. We've heard you. We will continue to hear you. And so obviously we'll have comments to the draft document. one thing that I would say is that I think it's important that we move forward. So I would vote for closing the public hearing, leaving open written comments until Monday or Tuesday, and then voting on the revised document.
Thank you. Please stop commenting from the audience. Council members on this side, are you in favor of Box Hills or Poteet's?
I'm fine, with closing the meeting and also leaving comments open.
Councilwoman?
Yeah, I'm a fan of closing the public hearing and leaving the comments open.
All right, so please stop commenting from the audience. Please stop commenting from the audience, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry? We listen to your comments, Ms. Justino. Auxiliary, do me a favor, please. Auxiliary officer, please, can you come to the front? So do we have a motion to close the public hearing and leave written comments open to Monday, the 17th at 5 p.m.?
I would like to make a motion to close the public hearing and leave written comments open until Monday at 5 p.m.
Second.
Sir? Sir? What's she doing? So we had a motion properly moved in second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Box Hill?
Yeah, I'm gonna say no.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be
I didn't-
quiet.
No.
Oh,
No.
thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be quiet as you're exiting.
Councilwoman Gleason?
Aye.
Councilman Potteet?
Aye.
Councilman Thompson?
Aye.
Council President Brown?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, do we have a motion to close this do we have a motion to adjourn this we closed it already. Never mind, just kidding. All right, so we're gonna flow into I see we have our congressman here. Sure.
Thank you,
Go
Madam
ahead.
President.
Item. Congressman, I see that you're here. Would you like to speak up front?
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you for being here. Madam President, am I starting?
Yeah, as soon as we get into the legislative session. Give me 1 second.
Corporation Council?
Corporation. Brian Johnson.
Well, we have Johan here. We have
Who?
Johan.
Oh, okay.
Can
But
you
he needs
come?
to- I need
We're
him
gonna
to
begin.
step out with the conversation. Brian Johnson, can you all step out into the hallway, please? No problem.
Thank you, Madam President. Item number one. Item number one, management services.
Councilwoman Gleason, give me a second.
Okay.
All right. So any additional conversations, please step out into the hallway so that we can move on to the tally sheet. Yeah, I can't really hear them. Legislation and Public Works.
Thank you again, Madam President. Item number one, management services, Department of Management Services, and ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute the New York State Department of State grant contract T 1003-494 for the reimbursable purchase of a replacement UPS backup battery for the Mount Vernon Police Department. That is on the agenda. Item number 2, Department of Public Works, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of downtown trash receptacles for business districts. That's on the agenda. I have a question with item number 1. Maybe Corporation Counsel. I thought we had, is this an additional backup battery or was there an amendment to this? We closed the back door. You know the item number 1? Okay, we'll get back to it.
Just before you move on to item number 3, item number 2, why are we entering in a contract for $30,000 for receptacles? Did this go out to bid?
Actually, I meant to put that as agenda pending. I have reached out to the DPW commissioner today, but I couldn't get a hold of him.
It doesn't appear they provided quotes, so that to me means that they didn't go out to bid and we didn't approve something for them to go out to bid.
Judge, this is Deputy Commissioner Ulrich with DPW. Can you hear me?
Who's there?
It's the Deputy Commissioner Ulrich from DPW.
This was non-competitive bid. We do have quotes.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, DC. Are you able to move back from the mic a little bit?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. We do have 3 quotes from viable vendors for the purchase. This is a continuation of, I believe, the other legislative motion put forward in the last session to transfer funds from a, sorry, I don't have the actual budget line here, but we do have the quotes on file.
Yeah, it's not about quotes, DC. So what happens is when you're procuring and it's for purchase contract, anything over $20,000 has to go out for bid.
Okay.
So unless there's a bid here, then the quotes wouldn't suffice. Your quotes only come into play if it's underneath $20,000.
Good enough. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 3.
What is the status of item number 2?
Item number 2 is agenda pending.
Okay,
Because I think there's more information that Deputy Commissioner does not have, and that's why I wanted to speak to Commissioner.
can you speak into the mic? Okay.
Item number 3, Department of Public Works, an ordinance authorizing the Department of Public Works to issue a request for qualification for on-call citywide pavement, striping, roadway markings, and curb paint maintenance services. So since we have DC Nikolovich, was it Nicole?
That was DC Ulrich.
Okay. We normally do this on staff. What's the purpose of going out for an RFQ for this?
That knowledge is with Commissioner Bush. I cannot speak to his.
Can you back up from the mic a little bit again, please?
Sorry, not near the mic. I'd have to speak with Commissioner Bush about that. I'm just following a request to submit to council, so.
Okay, so I'm gonna call for that. Item number 4, Department of Public Works, an ordinance authorizing the Department of Public Works to issue a request for proposal for the modernization and repair of the Gramerton Avenue Roundabout Fountain. I'm gonna call for that.
And
Item
just
number
for that, well, since you're calling for it, just a question I have, didn't we repair this last
I'm
year?
sorry?
Didn't we repair this fountain last year?
No, we pulled that last year. That's why I wanted to speak to the commissioner about it. I'm gonna call for it.
Okay.
I'll do, there was a problem with the amount of money but it was to fix it.
Okay.
So I just want to have a further discussion with him because I didn't know that they wanted to do an RFP. No, I'm calling for it. All right, item number 5, Department of Public Works, an ordinance amending Chapter 140, Article 1, Section 140-4 of the Code of the City of Mount Vernon entitled Garbage and Rubbish Collection to authorize a red tag bulk item disposal section. That is going to be agenda pending. Item number 6, Public Works, Department of Public Works, an ordinance authorizing the establishment of a red tag bulk item disposal program administered by the Department of Public Works. That's going to be agenda pending. Item number 7, local law number of 2025, a local law of the City Council of the City of Mount Vernon establishing administrative search warrant procedure to be used in conjunction with local law number 6 of 2024, entitled A Local Government Code Enforcement Program. And I thought that we had already done this. Corporation Council?
No, it was brought back to make amendments, so that's why this had to come back.
But it's an amendment, correct?
This is the first time we're establishing it. It's not an
It
amendment.
was rewritten altogether?
We chose not to vote on it the first time around,
All
correct?
right, so I'm
But-
gonna. Corporation Council?
We did vote, you did vote on it the last time. And
On the
then
local law?
you voted on the local law, but it was not perfected. Because the law, a nuance in the law changed and outside counsel wanted us to amend it. So we did not perfect it. It was, an earlier version was voted on, but it was not perfected. We didn't send it to the state. So it's just out, it wasn't perfected.
I knew it sounded familiar. But I'm gonna put that as a agenda pending because I'd like to review it with Corporation Council.
That's fine. Just question on 5 and 6. What did you say for those? 5 and 6
I
was?
want to speak to the commissioner on those.
So those are both
Those are AP?
AP. I'm just questions and concerns about those two things. So one is asking us to grant them permission to draft an amendment. And why would we grant them permission to draft an amendment? Particularly, this is number 5. They should present what amendment that they want, and we will adopt the amendment, but we don't grant them the permission to adopt an amendment or draft an amendment later on. So I'm confused why there's 5 and 6. It's
Can I just clarify that?
sure.
So to me, the way that that read was that they wouldn't have to come back to council by giving them
no.
the permission. And I agree with you, so that we're on the same page with that. Because anytime they would make an amendment, we would have to amend it anyway. Council would have to approve it. And I'm sorry, your second one for number 6?
Yeah, so to me, these letters should be combined, all right? Because it's the same, the program and the legislation, we can do those. We can authorize them to establish a red bulk item program as well.
So write it all within the same piece of legislation, number 5?
In my opinion, unless the law department thinks that it should be different.
Yeah, that was the question I was gonna ask for the commissioner, why it was separate. Why it was separated.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we also need to know what the rollout is, right? So they said to coordinate a rollout. So is this something that people are gonna get from online, right? Having some of that information to be helpful to know whether or not I can support it or not. All right.
I believe I do not have any add-ons.
Thank you. I see that Human Resources, once again, doesn't have any items. We're going to go on to Public Safety and Codes.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Item number 8 from Buildings and ordinance authorizing the acceptance and award of request for proposals 004 for third-party construction inspection and consulting services to Labella Associates and Ettinger Engineering Associates. That will be agenda pending. The question I have is, I thought we had this contract as it is, so I'm not sure why this one's up.
Yeah, so I have some background on it.
Oh, sure.
All of my questions aren't answered either. Actually, I don't. I'll let you get from the commissioner.
Item number 9 from the mayor's office, an ordinance authorizing the creation of the position of data officer within the Department of Buildings. That's agenda. Item number 10 from public safety, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Westchester County Department of Corrections for the reimbursement of prisoner transportation services for the years 2025, 2026 is on the agenda. Item number 11.
Councilman Potteet, before you get to item number 9, doesn't quite, all of it doesn't make sense, right? So what happens is this is Janera, the Harvard fellow, thank you. And it's in the beginning of the letter, it says that we're accepting a grant from Bloomberg Harvard City Leadership Initiative. However, the grant would need to come before us for us to actually accept it, right? So did we get the grant already? Because if we're putting this in the budget, when is the grant coming in? So I would be hesitant to add it to the budget if we aren't going to receive the money. Secondly, the line that says where it's formally established its position within the city budget, it's not clear where the grant is going into or where she's being paid out of. It just has two budget lines together. It says to utilize the disbursement of funds. And I'm assuming the disbursement of funds wouldn't be from a revenue line.
No, those are excellent points. So if I can change 9 to agenda pending, and then I'll talk to the mayor's office and the Department of Buildings, because that's where this is going, about if the grants come in, and then if it has come in, where it's going to go.
Thank you.
Try to find out before Wednesday.
Madam President?
Councilwoman Gleason?
I think that DC Mamick was going to be online this evening. Is she? She might have information on that. Is she not online? Okay.
This is Commissioner Holder, Council President.
Hey, Commissioner Holder.
How are you? What is the question that we have here?
My concern is that this letter that was written from, it looks like give me a second. It looks like the mayor might have signed off on it. Let me see. Yep, that the mayor signed off on says that that we are accepting a grant from Bloomberg. So we didn't receive any legislation accepting the grant as far as I know. So before we create a position that goes into our budget that we are responsible for, I think that we should figure out when the grant is coming in. First, second of all, this letter says that there's going to be disbursements from two lines. One is a revenue line, one is an expenditure line. So I just need clarity on which line the disbursements are coming in, and was the revenue line the line that the grant is going into? So I was just trying to figure those things out. So those aren't making sense to me.
Yeah, clarification would have to come from the mayor's office as the grant went through them. You know, we're working with Gennaro, but she is everything is going through the mayor's office pretty much.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You can continue, Councilman Potteet.
Thank you. Item number 10, public safety and ordinance authorizing the mayor.
So what are we doing with that?
Number 9 will be agenda pending.
Thank you.
So I can get the answers to those 2 questions. Number 10, public safety and ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Westchester County Department of Corrections for the reimbursement of prisoner transportation services for the years 2025, 26 is on the agenda. Item number 11, public safety and ordinance authorizing the suspension of parking meter enforcement in certain municipal parking lots and garages to promote holiday shopping from December 8th through 24th, 2025, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. to include December 31st, 2025. That is agenda pending. I have questions for PD on the cost of the lost parking revenue from this action. Item number 12, from public safety and ordinance authorizing the award of a contract for a red light violation photo enforcement and monitoring system, RFP 2025, RFP RLC CMV. That is also agenda pending. Would like to speak to PD about any exit fees in this contract. Excuse me? Great. is he online? Okay, great. So there's a question I have of item number 12. The red light photo enforcement system. Is there an exit fee after a year? So let's say that we decide after a year we want to go with a different vendor. Is it no cost to exit, or is there a substantial exit fee?
$100 a month per camera.
Oh.
So it says in the contract.
Who's the question to, Councilman Potteet?
It was to Addison, but
Deputy Chief Addison,
I forgot that too.
are you online?
Yes, Councilman Boxell actually just answered it.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other, any additional questions to him?
No, I would like to change my vote then, I mean, my recommendation for it to be called for.
You want it to be called for or no?
Called for, I do.
Okay.
12 to be called for.
You want it,
12 to be called for. Mhm.
can you help us understand why? I'm not saying that it should be. I just want to know what's the thought process around it.
I believe the exit fee should be renegotiated because that's a prohibitive exit fee. That,
That's
Is it just
lower
a
than-
negotiated contract?
Yeah, so I guess we probably should go into executive session so that Johan could speak about some of the negotiations around the contract and what he changed. Because from what I understand, I didn't get a chance to review the whole thing, is that there were changes made to the contract.
Agreed.
So yeah, so maybe we keep that call for until at the end, we go into executive session and then you can come out and make a decision.
not a
All right.
problem. Sounds good. Item number 13 from Public Safety, an ordinance authorizing payment to TriTech Software Systems, formerly Central Square, for CAD and RMS software use covering the period March 1st, 2025 through May 15th, 2025 is on the agenda.
Question for that before you move on? Why do we keep extending this? It's been over, I feel like it's 2 years now that we've been paying for Tyler and this software. And we keep saying that we need to get trained on Tyler. What exactly are we waiting for? And I guess that's not really to you, Councilman Potteet. That's more of a Addison question. So if you can help me, that'd be grateful.
Okay, so we were transitioning between Central Square, which is TriTech now, and Tyler. The switch over actually occurred in the beginning of May, but we still had to go and utilize Central Square between March and May. Their contract period was from March to March. So because of that, we had to use it for part of the year. So we ended up going and spilling over into May. We are completely
So
away from Central Square now. So we are completely on Tyler, but this was the billing that they gave us because we continued to use their product until May.
So I guess the question for me is, who is responsible for tracking internally whether or not a contract has expired? Because essentially, you guys have continued on with the software that the council didn't approve and are asking for retroactive approval now.
Don't have a clear answer for who was responsible for it at the time. I don't know. I would have to check.
So, and just final question, we are no longer using Central Square, so there will never be a letter in the future asking to cover Central Square costs?
Correct. We have canceled the contract.
Thank you. Councilman Potteet?
Problem, that's item number 13. Item number 14 from City.
Wait, what are we?
Agenda.
Agenda?
He said agenda.
13's on the agenda.
Agenda pending?
He said agenda.
Agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Agenda 13. 14 from City Council, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Mount Vernon adopting an ordinance, amending the city code to increase the maximum permitted driveway width. That's on the agenda. Item number 15 from City Council.
I thought we did this one already. We didn't do the width of the driveways for the? Oh, we did the public hearing, now it came to, okay, thank you.
Sorry, can you just remind me the rationale behind this? Well, why are we doing this again?
Buildings Commissioner, are you still on?
Yes, I'm
Commissioner
still
Holder, are
here.
you still on?
I'm still here.
Councilman Box Hill is asking if you could explain the rationale between increasing the driveway width from 12 lineal feet to 18 lineal feet.
If I recall, I think there was a number of applicants in the city who are having issues with driveways and water and rain and some rainwater conditions, and the only way to solve it, I think, was to widen the driveway. I don't have all the details with me right now, but I think it was along those lines. I know legal and legal might be a little bit more aware of what the issue was, you know?
Corporation Counsel, do you have anything to add to that? Or no? This is the driveway width increasing from 12 to 18. I think this is legislation that Brad may have helped with.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
There was a request, and we went out to the site and evaluated it, and so I'm assuming the building department was supportive of it. I know Brad and I went out there. I know there was a request for the resident, and everyone involved thought that it was a good idea. So
Thank you.
So how logistically, how does this, like, can I apply to widen my driveway and I could have it widened? How does that work? Like, and is this, I mean, this is a blanket policy for the city, right? This is citywide.
yeah,
policy.
it's an allowance. So as you would apply for any permit, you would just say the difference. You want to widen your driveway.
Okay.
So it doesn't change the process of applying to do
Right.
the work. It just increases the as of right. You can do 18 versus 12.
The
Yeah,
only,
that's
the only
right.
thing I think of is the big issue that we even mentioned today about parking. I think this lessens parking if everyone had a wider
It's interesting you say that because one of my neighbors was just complaining about that. A resident had widened his thing, and he complained about that. But I believe that it is discretionary, and the building commissioner can say
Yeah,
yay
we
or
would,
nay.
right, you would apply for it, and then we would have to, to go through it and see if we approve it. There's a couple of new developments actually that have requested a wider driveway. And we will be deciding based on this legislation whether they can have it or not.
Currently, if someone has a driveway that's larger than 12 feet, so they're non-conforming, can we require them to shorten their driveway, make it narrow? Is that currently the case?
Well, in this case, we're actually
Yeah.
gonna make it wider, but yeah, it could go either way. If we feel there's a suitable reason for it to be narrower, then we would request that, you know?
Okay, thank you.
Were your questions answered, or do you have?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, obviously, they're case by case, but it's potentially can affect citywide parking if everyone is allowed to do that or has a good reason to widen their driveway. Widen driveway, that's one less parking spot on your street. So,
Commissioner, there's a piggybacking off of Councilmember Box Hill. What criteria would you use to figure out if someone should have a wider driveway? Would it be parking on the street? Would it be width of the lot? Just curious.
It could be distance from the corner. It could, it could be how it conflicts with a neighboring driveway. There's a number of things that we might look at, something like that. There's a new development, I think, by the Boys and Girls Club, where there is an existing driveway on the site, which would have to be widened to make it more work for loading and things like that. So that might be a reason,
so wouldn't that just require like a variance and not a change of the citywide policy? If this is just like a select few driveways that have a special issue that they might need to widen it, why not just get a variance for that property instead of changing the city code?
I mean, I don't know if legal wants to say anything, but it potentially, yeah, we could do it that way, but we just see the need for this. We're getting a lot of demands on this, and to have everybody go for a variance, I'm not sure if that's the way to go at this point, you know?
So, and I recall the conversations that we had. It wasn't just a one or two person thing. It was something that was happening repetitively. And also
Yeah.
it was causing significant flooding in basements, right? And
Exactly.
the only way that they could correct it was if their driveways were allowed to be wider and they can put whatever, whatever the, thing is called, like a, whatever.
Catch basin.
French
It's
drains and
something to
whatnot.
help.
Mm.
There we go. I don't know, I didn't go out, but I remember being in a meeting and this conversation was being had that it wasn't just a one or two person thing. It was several properties that was experiencing this type of damage. Yeah.
Corporation Council, can you speak in the microphone?
I have nothing further to say. All right, so item number, I'm sorry, any further questions? Okay, so item number 14 is agenda. On the agenda. Item number 15 from City Council, an ordinance to amend Chapter 227, Streets and Sidewalks of the Code of the City of Mount Vernon to increase the maximum permitted driveway width from 12 lineal feet to 18 lineal feet is also on the agenda.
Just a question, why are we doing a resolution and an ordinance saying, doing the same thing? Is there, do you know?
I do not know. I would refer it to Corporation Council as to why we need to do,
All right, if we can just confirm that both are needed, because the ordinance is attached to the resolution as well.
So it's gonna be whether we need both or we can combine them?
Yes, that's the question that I'm asking.
So is it possible to get that answer? I mean, since we have Corporation Council and Assistant Corporation Council, just to move things along, can we get that answer now? Are both needed or not?
No, I'm not prepared to give it now.
Okay.
Take a look.
I mean, it is legal advice, right? So I guess when we go into executive session, we can get an answer about it.
No problem. So as of now, item number 15 is on the agenda, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Potteet, Finance and Planning.
Yep. Number 16 from the Controller's Office, an ordinance authorizing the controller to enter into agreement with Twilio for the provision of SMS services in connection with the UKG Telestaff system. That's going to be on the agenda. Number 17 from the Controller's Office, an ordinance authorizing the controller to enter into agreement with Prime Force for archiving of UKG workforce time and attendance data. That's on the agenda. Number 18 from the Controller's Office, an ordinance authorizing the mounting of a portrait of former Controller Maureen Walker in City Hall. That's going to be outside of the Controller's Office. Controller Walker has been our controller for 24 years, 6 consecutive terms, and offering to put up her picture outside the Controller's Office. So that's on the agenda.
Just Councilman Box Hill, just on that item, totally support it. It's just not clear from this letter who's paying for this.
That is a good question. I do not know. I guess the referral letter came from the Controller's Office, so I guess I'll ask the Controller.
Yeah, there's no budget code or anything associated with it, so it's not clear at all.
That is true. So should we make this agenda pending?
You are the committee chair.
All right, agenda pending. Sorry, Controller Walker. Number 19, an ordinance adopting a healthcare insurance policy establishing cost-sharing requirements for elected officials, non-union employees, and eligible part-time employees. And that is on the agenda. Are we all good with that, from Corp Counsel?
It's on the agenda, which I'm fine with, but there's options in the letter. So we would need to choose which option that we're going to move forward with, so that,
Okay,
so yeah, I think that we would have to decide which option is going to be in the legislation. We can't just leave it up to the comptroller to decide.
that's true. How many more meetings we have for the year?
We have three,
3?
well, three,
Um,
regular meetings.
Can I also make a suggestion, or at least I would like to have it
Yes.
discussed?
Sure.
A separation? Yeah, I got my microphone on.
Can you move it closer to you? I think that's the
Oh, okay.
problem.
As I was looking at this with the three options, and I noticed also the three required, people for the cost share. The elected officials, the non-union employees, and the eligible part-time employees. I feel like those two should be separated. And elected officials should be one, and the non-union employees and eligible part-time employees should be another, because I would absolutely vote for elected officials to contribute. I am very conflicted on the non-union employees and the eligible part-time employees having to pay for their benefits.
All right, I mean, that makes sense. So we would need a different, like, cost analysis to see what's gonna be the new cost if we pull those folks out or have a separate for them. So, I mean, if that's, the-
So does, before we do that, does everybody want that done, or is that council, is it two, or is it three people want that? Like, do you want to separate the elected from the non-represented and part-time?
I just think, in order for us to pull ahead, from this, everyone should be contributing something to their, health insurance.
so, yeah, on that, what Derek is saying is, so the plan is, like what Derek is saying, I mean, I work at the county. There's not a union, there's not a non-rep that doesn't contribute to the healthcare. I mean, it's kind of like, wow, it's just a city in, fiscal stress, as the controller said, that we all get 100% great insurance, but fully free. I mean, there should be at
It's
least some
just-
type of
In order for
contribution.
us to,
Brian,
Yeah.
Pressure Council, you gotta come to the mic.
in order for us to pull ourselves out of debt like we wish to and not see a continuing increase in our taxes, it's important that everyone pays into their insurance. So the amount of, because we pay more than $14 million a year in insurance. And if everyone took just a portion of their pay, you come up with whatever the percentage would be, but it would alleviate some of that pressure from the city. And I know it's a task, but I think it's something that needs to be done.
Madam President?
Give me a second. Councilman Potteet, did you have anything? All right, Councilman Gleason?
I don't disagree with you. I think you're absolutely right. I just think if not all our union employees are contributing, which not all of them are contributing to their health care, I feel like we're singling out the non-union employees and the eligible part-time employees. So yes, I do agree with you. I think everybody should contribute, but until all union and collective bargaining agreements represent that, I don't think it's fair. That's just my opinion. And I'm one person, one of five.
Yeah, so I agree that I think everyone should be contributing, right? I think across the board, everyone should be contributing. I think my concern more is, I guess, the tier, right? Because some of our non-union employees are just at a lower tier or are getting less salaries. For example, our assistants, the secretaries, et cetera. But I do think that we all do need to contribute. So what I'm hearing, though, back to my initial question, is only one council member is saying that we should separate the two?
No, I'm not. I think I tend to agree with Caitlin, just because singling out non-union is, I get, so what we do at the county level is we mirror. So the non-reps, the non-union folks, they would mirror the Teamsters agreement. So when they change policy or get a raise, it typically mirrors that. So that's how that's done. So I mean, there is precedent for what Caitlin is suggesting.
Yeah, so one of our unions currently are paying into there, and I think that's where, I don't know, but I think that's where the comptroller got the number from. So PBA is currently paying 20%, contributing 20%. So what you're saying is you agree with Caitlin that the elected should be a separate legislation from the non-union members and the part-timers.
Right. So, I mean, I guess we don't really have no control over it, but that's a union negotiation if they change their union, bargain for to, but if that's done, then the non-reps would mirror that.
Okay, where are you landing on this, Councilman Potteet?
I'm with Councilmember Thompson, which is, I believe everyone should make a contribution because of the fiscal issues we have in the city.
And I do think we'll get more bang for our buck if we did it by salary caps, like you meet with the unions, you have a discussion and you do a salary cap. So say if you make up to $50,000, you pay this amount towards your insurance. If you make over up to $100,000, you pay this much for your insurance. And you have those conversations and bridge that gap. I know in education, everyone pays for their insurance. Even when they change providers and things go up or your copay goes up, like everyone pays into their insurance. So, and if we think we're gonna pull ourselves out of debt with paying over $14 million a year in free insurance for everyone, it's just that we're continually hurting ourselves if we don't pull something from this insurance.
And just to give people the numbers, right? So if everyone was to contribute 20%, including the electeds, the appointed, and the part-time, that would yield $311,000 approximately for the city, right? So that's if everyone was in it. Another thing is, in a lot of places, part-time employees typically don't get healthcare benefits, right? And I think part of the policy change in here is that right now we're giving part-time employees full benefits that could cost $40,000 if they have a family plan. And they're only required to work 25 hours. So I think that also needs to be amended. But so I kind of need some direction on where we're going. Are we separating it? So I'm fine with keeping everything together. Is anyone else fine with keeping everything together? So that's two. Do we have a third? So we have three. So it sounds like we have three willing to move it forward. However, what we need to decide is what the tiers, if we're going to amend anything in it. So we need to decide whether option 1, 2, 3, or if we're going to make up our own option of how it's going to be implemented.
Okay, since I was voted down. The reason why I wanted separated really was so we, as elected officials, we would start getting deducted right away, right? That was really the whole premise out of separating it. I did not disagree with everybody contributing. I just think that having this pressed upon them, right? You could either do January 2026, April 2026, or a scaled 10% to September 2027, I think it was. I think we've got to give people time because I think once they start having to pay, they have to really build up to that, right? So I wouldn't support a January 2026 date, but if it's the pleasure of the council and we're moving forward with it, then I would consider the April or the September option, unless you guys are creative with something else.
Yeah, so I don't disagree with a rollout, right, or ramping it up so that people can get used to and financially adjust. I'm not in disagreement with that. I think we just need to figure out what everyone's in agreement with. To be fair to the comptroller, and I know he probably said if he was here, he had sent this out previously. So if we can take the time to, maybe we move this to the next meeting and take the time to figure out what our concerns are, if we could address them so that it can be addressed in this letter at the next meeting.
And also, if I may, persons also get the opportunity to either opt in or out for insurance because they may have insurance elsewhere. If you're married, you may have couples insurance with your family, whatever the case may be. I know in other municipalities as well as school districts and otherwise, they get those reimbursements where if you opt out, whatever you paid for the year is reimbursed or it's not taken out at all. So just look at those options.
Can I just interject? Sometimes when you're in the midst of any type of cancer treatments, you can't actually do that with another, insurance company at times, and that could end up being a double expense on somebody. So only because, and things have changed over years, so things and different insurance companies have changed, but I would hate for somebody to be going through any type of illness and then this gets thrusted upon them and they're not able to switch to a decent insurance company, even though they don't have a situation where, they get refused for treatment, but it could be hard, switching insurance companies at that time. So I just want everybody to consider that.
So what's your call on that, Councilman Boxell?
I guess we're gonna call for it, so, for the next meeting, you have it come back.
All right, do we have a motion to enter executive session?
I would like to make a motion to enter executive session for legal purposes.
Second.
The motion was for legal purposes to receive legal advice. There was a second. Can we have a roll call?
Councilman Boxell,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gleason,
Aye.
Councilman Potteet,
Aye.
Councilman Thompson,
Aye.
Council President Brown.
Aye.
Madam President, can we release Antoinette?
All right, do we have a motion to exit executive session?
I make a motion to exit executive session.
Roll call? Oh, second by Councilman Thompson. Roll call?
Thank you. Councilman Box Hill? To exit executive session.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gleason?
Aye.
Councilman Potteet?
Aye.
Councilman Thompson?
Aye.
Council President Brown?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, Councilman Potteet, I think you had something on your tally sheet that did you want to move it to the agenda or are you keeping it called for? Agenda? That was a red light camera contract?
And
Yes.
what was the last one, number 19? I'm gonna hold it until I get some confirmation from the controller.
Number 19, you're holding it? Okay.
Yep.
And then.
Why
for
are
the-
we giving it, why are we holding it? Be more specific,
He said he needs to get confirmation from the comptroller.
Yeah,
regarding the quest analysis?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
And 12 is going on the agenda. That's the red light violation.
Who? I'm sorry, which number?
Is that 12, the red light?
The red light camera's on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Are there any other items that are being switched or confirmed? No? All right, any comment from council? All right, good night, everybody.
All right.